Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SAP with Google Cloud podcast. I'm your host, Ghanshyam, and I'm thrilled to be with you today for another insightful episode. We are constantly bringing you the latest and greatest in the Google Cloud and SAP integration space, and today's episode is no exception. We have the pleasure of welcoming Ameya Suvarna, a technical architect at Google. Over the next 30 minutes, Ameya will delve into the inspiration behind the ABAP SDK, its functionalities, and how it empowers the SAP ecosystem to leverage the vast capabilities of Google Cloud. We will explore real world applications, potential benefits, and exciting future possibilities. Now, before we dive into the conversation, let's give Ameya a warm welcome and a chance to introduce himself. Ameya, over to you.
Thanks, Ghanshyam, for starting us off and for having me here. Hi, all. I'm Ameya Suvarna. I've been working in the SAP ecosystem for over 18 years now, and I also started off as an ABAPer and worked my way up through various roles helping customers implement SAP. I had the opportunity to work with customers from a variety of industry, including retail, telecommunication, manufacturing, media, and for the past 2 years, I've been part of Google Cloud, working on products that simplify and help customers enhance their SAP functionalities using Google Cloud services. So, ABAP SDK is one of those products, and I'm excited to have a conversation with you, Ghanshyam, on the ABAP SDK for Google Cloud.
Well, that's great, Ameya. Thank you. Uh, let's get started. Uh, can you tell me what the ABAP SDK for Google Cloud is and what it does?
Sure. So, simply put, ABAP SDK lets you use Google Cloud services inside your SAP system. Now, Google Cloud has a lot of APIs and services that you can use to extend your SAP business use case. ABAP SDK is like a bridge between SAP and Google Cloud. So it lets developer use Google Cloud services without having to worry about middleware or any integration tools.
Okay, great. I'm curious about the Google Cloud APIs and services you mentioned. Uh, can you break down what they are and how they work with the ABAP SDK?
Absolutely. So Google is an API first company.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is Google offers all of its services as APIs. So you can use them in your own applications, right? For example, I think almost every one of us use Google Maps on our phones, right? And the
Yep.
same Maps platform is available for developers in the form of APIs.
Okay.
Another example would be, I think many of us would end up using the translate service, translate.google.com, right? For doing language translation. The
Yes.
same service is available to you as form of an API. Now, adding to that, we have also entered into the revolutionary world of Gen AI and large language models. Now, even that for customers is available in a form of an API, which now can be accessed using a BAP, right? So you can actually
Okay.
get a feel of these APIs using tools like API Explorer, which is a gate tool for anyone specifically developers to test and explore the services.
Oh, wow. That sounds great. Uh, I'm interested in understanding the backstory of the ABAP SDK. Can you share what motivated Google to create this solution and how it benefits the SAP community?
Absolutely. So, as you might know, that Alphabet, which is a parent company of Google, is also an SAP customer. So, in order to
Okay.
meet their business goals, the Google SAP implementation team consistently looked to utilize the various capabilities of Google services, like PubSub for messaging, the translate service, which we spoke about, to store credentials, services like Secret Manager came into handy, process documents, services like Document AI came into handy, and various other AI capabilities that Google offers, which is all given to customers under the banner called Vertex AI including machine learning capabilities of BigQuery, right? So they needed an SDK to start consuming these services, right? And that's where the need
Okay.
for ABAP SDK was conceived, okay, out of those requirements. So Alphabet, being customer zero, has been utilizing this for years and taking advantage of the great potential that Google Cloud Services offer. So this year, we decided to release this to a wider SAP customer base.
That sounds great. Interesting point. Can you detail the specific design choices and consideration made to ensure the ABAP SDK's accessibility and widespread adoption by SAP customers?
Sure. So you might have understood that the vast array of APIs comes up with its own complexities, right? But our
Yeah.
goal was to simplify the SDK by providing the necessary engineering excellence, right? Thus enabling subconscious programming for ABAP developers. What does that mean? This means that ABAP developers can focus on solving the business problem while the
Mhm.
complexity of consuming services is simplified by the SDK.
Okay. I'm intrigued by the notion of engineering excellence through the ABAP SDK. Can you explain its impact on the overall quality and maintainability of SAP systems?
Sure. So, as an ABAP developer, right, there are few things that you need to consider when you're consuming an API, right? What are the constructs of the API? Is it a REST-based service or some other protocol? Does it require authentication? What kind of payload does it accept? How do I marshal ABAP types into those payload protocols, right? How do I handle any errors and many more? So your ultimate goal is to use the functionalities provided by the API to enrich your SAP business process. To achieve this goal, we took an inward out approach. We started
Okay.
looking at the Google APIs as an outsider, but then we put ourselves in the shoes of an ABAP developer and thought how we could make it easier for the developers to use the Google APIs by making them part of the SAP ecosystem. So this eventually led us to an idea of single window of interaction, where the Google APIs is presented to the ABAPer as an ABAP class.
Okay.
And any interaction with the API would be through this ABAP class. And all the underlying complexities of
Hmm.
authenticating with the API, the request and response marshalling, error handling, logging would be handled implicitly by the SDK framework. The single window of interaction guideline required us to keep the design simple and easy to understand so that ABAPers could focus on the business problem at hand rather than worrying about the underlying complexities.
Okay. Great. And how many APIs have been released in the current version?
So the Google ecosystem has well over 250 plus APIs.
Mhm.
But in the current version, which is the version 1.5, we released around 55 APIs, right? Now we made
Okay.
this conscious decision, right? You may ask why only 55, right? But we
Yeah.
made this conscious decision to do this because we wanted the developers to focus on solving the business problems by understanding the value of the API provided to meet their needs. Okay, but said that, we also invested in tool sets that allow us to scale the SDK to any Google API in no time, right? So if there is a customer who wants us to consume an API or wants to consume an API for the value it provides, we are here to help.
Okay. Interesting. That leads me to wonder how can customers get started on it?
So it's pretty simple, right? So all you need is to download the transport from the Google site and work with your basis team to import it into your system. If you are an independent developer and want to try it out, you can always import into the ABAP 1909 trial version, which is available in a form of a Docker container.
Okay.
There is a blog up there which will show you how you can deploy the Docker container on a trial version of Google Cloud Platform. and
Mhm.
import the ABAP SDK transport and get going with it in under 30 minutes.
Okay, that sounds pretty straightforward. Uh, how are your efforts to build a developer ecosystem helping customers and developers unlock the full potential of the ABAP SDK and achieve their goals?
And that's a great question. So, as this is an SDK, a
Mhm.
vibrant developer ecosystem will be the key to innovation, right? To start off, we have started GitHub repositories where we plan to host code samples that anyone can import using ABAP.
Mhm.
Customers and developers can also reach out to us and the wider community using Google Cloud communities, right? Where we expect the community to come and contribute as well. You can follow the Google Cloud publication on Medium, where you will find many articles showcasing the capabilities of ABAP SDK. In fact, some of our customers who have started using ABAP SDK has started publishing articles of their experience of using the ABAP SDK, which will give you or the other customers an insight into how they are using ABAP SDK. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel where we are going to keep releasing short videos, snippets which will allow anybody to quickly ramp up on using ABAP SDK or the capabilities of ABAP SDK.
Okay, great, great. Uh, now we talked about how you started with the BAP SDK. What were the motivating factors behind it, and how to get started with it. Uh, can you outline specific use cases that demonstrated its potential impact?
Absolutely. So the ABAP SDK as such opens up lots of possibilities, right? For example, Google has developed a bunch of industry specific solutions like Cortex, manufacturing data engine, retail shelf AI, and many more, right? Now, these solutions in itself are built and run on the same Google Cloud services using the same Google Cloud services, right? That we have been talking about. Now, with ABAP SDK, you can now interact with Google services and APIs, which means you can also integrate your SAP processes with these solutions built on top of Google Cloud. So, our customer may also choose to do so, right? Build solutions on top of Google Cloud and integrate using ABAP SDK.
Okay, so does that mean that customers can now imagine and design their own solutions on Google Cloud to extend their SAP processes?
Absolutely. This opens up all kinds of possibilities. Now, we are already, in fact, seeing customers and partners reimagining things in these lines, right? The base principle remains the same. You can use the capabilities of Google Cloud to build your solution on top of Google Cloud, and you can use the ABAP SDK to solve the first mile and the last mile problem of integrating with SAP.
Great. I'm excited to learn about the future direction of the ABAP SDK. Can you give us a glimpse into what features and functionalities we can look forward in the next releases?
So we are committed to continuing to extend the ABAP SDK for Google Cloud, right? So our customers are giving us feedback on what APIs they want to work with and what features they want in the product, right? Basically dwelling into ease of using those APIs using
Yeah.
the SDK, right? So we plan to add support for more Google Cloud services in future, as well as enhance existing features based on customer feedback. I would just say, stay tuned, keep innovating, and happy exploring. You know,
Yeah, well, that's the key. Uh, thank you so much, Amya, for joining us today and sharing your insights about the ABAP SDK for Google Cloud. It's been extremely informative and valuable to learn about the inspiration behind the SDK, its capabilities, and the exciting future plans. Yeah. So, thank you once again, Amya. Uh,
thank you,
for our
Ghanshyam,
listeners,
having me here.
yeah,
Right, it was great talking to you and sharing the stuff about Web SDK.
great. Thank you once again, Amya. So, for our listeners who want to learn more about the ABAP SDK, we will include relevant links and resources in the show notes. And before we sign off, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more insightful discussions on ABAP and Google Cloud. Until next time, happy cloud computing. See ya.